Enough. As good enough.
Hello everyone. Hi listeners.
Mark, every time we do this, I'm amazed that we're able to get on this Zoom and do this.
I'm usually waiting in the waiting room, so I'm always amazed when you finally pop up because I'm ready to hit the text. Are you there, Sam? Are you there?
Yeah,
Are you there? So yeah. So we have 40 minutes here, so we got to get right into it.
Our guest is in the waiting room, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Lawrence is going to be with us. Hey, did you used to be a member of Rotary, right?
I did up until last year.
Yeah, and then they kicked you out. So the you know how Rotary always does a dictionary, right? Taking dictionaries to
we did that. Yep.
Everybody. Well, I'm not going to do it during my term. I contacted Penguin Random House, and listeners, if you're Rotarians, listen up, because I contacted Penguin Random House, and instead of dictionaries, I'm giving out Nat Geo's Y book.
Oh, that's cool. That's very
cool. These third graders are going to like this so much better because, first of all, there's tons of pictures. There, this is for younger kids, but everybody in the house is going to love this. I got this cheaper than what it would cost me to get a dictionary. I went right through the publishing house and I got them to give me a volume rate because I'm going to order, a couple hundred of them. And then I've got another Rotary Club that's going to order a couple hundred. But, questions like, why is this tree the color of a rainbow? That is weird. Okay.
Are you asking me that now? Or
Oh, no, I'm just telling you, all these questions in here. This book is like, these third graders are going to love it because they're just going to win every trivia contest at the school.
I thought if I ever became president, I would hand out medical dictionaries to the third graders.
Medical
dictionary with all the pictures, and
woo. And
nobody else has done
where
that.
Where babies come from? You can imagine.
Nobody else has done that. We should get right to our commercials and then get to our guest.
203. Okay. All right. Well, let's break for a commercial. One of our sponsors, near and dear to me, is the Ripe Choice Farm Stay and Catering, and that is a full-service catering farm with an event space barn, commercial kitchen, row crops, an orchard, a vineyard, all of that up here in Northern California.
And 2 pet pigs.
And I have 2 pigs, Rosie and Bud, 8 chickens, and a couple of labs, and a rescued cicada tortoise who rarely seems to come outside at all. But
he's right there in the house with you?
No, it's in the shed, but it just stays in the shed. It just stays there. So, I want him to come out and walk around and enjoy the area. So I've got to create this habitat in the corral area. I'm going to create this animal habitat like you would see at a zoo. So I got to figure out what that all is going to entail. Also being brought to you by, still on my end here, Happy Friday Neighbors newsletter, which comes out at 4 a.m. every Friday, has for the last 25 years. And if you would like to be on it, listener, just text me at 310-849-9181. 310-849-9181. And I need your email, and I'll send it to you. And you can also send me things to post. If you're a locally owned business, I love to promote local businesses. And if you took a fantastic picture on vacation, send that to me. I love to take credit for those pictures. No, I will put your name on those pictures. But Sam, what do you got?
Also brought to you on this end of the country, here in Bloomington, Illinois, Bloomington Pridestaff, full service staffing agency. We do direct hire. We do entry-level manufacturing, warehouse, office clerical, headhunting. So we do a little bit of everything here. And between Bloomington and Peoria, you can find us and apply for a job at pridestaff/bloomington.com. And you can see my smiling face on there and see the list of jobs we currently have open, or even if we don't have a job open right now that suits you, that could change tomorrow with a phone call. So that's Pridestaff Bloomington. Also, I'm a member of a racing team, Punke Racing. My grandson races quarter midget cars, so if, we're always looking for money to go faster. And that's the old adage: if how fast you want to go, tell me how much money you want to spend.
Yeah.
We'll take all your donations.
Yeah. Winner,
All right.
dinner. So the Pride staff, can I work from home?
Most of we have had occasionally work from home jobs, but very rarely.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our stuff, you got to.
People are starting to bring people back.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. We always did. We that Monday when the state of Illinois shut down, which was I think March 15th or something like that, I drove to work here, and there was only like a couple of cars on Veterans Way. It was spooky, and because we were allowed to stay open because we were a part of the manufacturing cycle, and all of our people were still going to work at the factories. They do a lot of protocols for, COVID avoidance, like taking.
Right. So they had to set up screens and
all kinds of stuff. So staggered shifts.
Right.
Shifts wouldn't overlap. It was all kinds of things they were doing.
Isn't it wild? I mean, to think back on that it really happened. We were.
Yeah, I was involved in a meeting here, and we can talk about that some other time about, workforce talent pipeline and all that. But they were talking, being brave about predicting 5 years from now. And I said, I'll give anybody $10 if they can prove to me that anything they predicted 3 years ago,
right,
years ago, were accurate. Anybody.
Yeah. No.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you say we get to? I'm excited about our.
Yeah. No. Let's bring Lawrence in.
Here was all right. I'm gonna bring him on. I'm gonna let you introduce him. Here we go.
All right.
Here we go.
Right. Bring him in. Looky there. I see the name. I need to see that smiling face. Lawrence.
He's connected to audio. Here we go.
Is he connecting to video?
It says.
See, he wants everybody to get his name correctly. And then he'll put the video up. Lawrence, are you not going to join us with video?
Okay, I've never done this, man. It's been a long time.
Really?
I mean, I have, but
done a podcast. You had a podcast.
I know, but it wasn't on video. We did it in a studio.
Oh yeah. No, we're a cut above, buddy.
We're some kind of cut. I don't know I don't know if we're a cut above, but we're a cut.
We're high end. We are high end. The production values here. This is Hollywood. I mean, most of our money goes into marketing and the production values.
There you go.
Money? Did you say money?
Hey, it's right up here on the screen. You can see it. It's all happening.
Lawrence, it's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Went to high school with this guy, Sam Lewis. And he's in, have you ever performed, first of all, let me introduce listeners. This is Lawrence Thomas. He is a longtime friend of mine, lives in the South Bay in Los Angeles, and specifically Manhattan Beach, in the cool section of Manhattan Beach in El Porto. And he's a stand-up comedian, actor, can sing. He's a triple threat. And,
not the dancing part.
But he moves well.
Yeah.
What's your email address? Because I started laughing.
America's hottest fat guy at yahoo.com.
America's hottest fat guy. Yeah.
And as soon as I saw that, I went, "Oh, it's taken. It's
he does okay.
When you talk to people in other countries doing customer service, or even here, they go, so your address, and then they read it, and then they don't want to say it. And I have to go, it's okay. I made it like that, and they're like,
that was me. I did that.
Yeah. So Nobody wants to say the fat word about somebody, I guess.
Well, I own a staffing agency, and we have people come in all the time and reply, and it's some of these email addresses are like, you expect to get a job with me sending like, very crude, very inappropriate email addresses,
Yeah, but you know what? With Lawrence's email address, you kind of want to reach out to him. You go, okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is you got to claim to be something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So my claim is mark@marklipps.com. I'm just claiming to be Mark Lips.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not even sure I claim that. I don't claim
You staff with pride.
with that. Careful. I am.
So Lawrence, I gotta catch up here. We haven't talked in a while, but you just came back from the Derby, which is your old stomping grounds.
Yep.
And you were doing gigs there and all of that. So was that
were you doing stand-up comedy there, Lawrence?
Yeah, I hadn't been on the road in a long time, and my buddy called me, said, "Hey, why don't you come do my club?" And I said, "Well, I haven't been in a club since before the pandemic." And he goes, "You're bulletproof. Come on out." So I did my first club since before the pandemic. And then I flew to Washington, D.C. and saw a concert, paid respects to my uncle who's in Columbia, Maryland. And then I flew back to Kentucky and did a couple nights, a couple sets in town, but mostly just went to the Derby. I'm from there, and we, it's kind of our thing. It's Kentucky Christmas.
Right.
I was beginning to think they wouldn't have any horses left.
Well, it was bad this year, man. That happened out at out at Santa Anita.
Remember that?
6 years ago, man.
But that was something like over a period of time. I think it's 20 horses. Unbelievable. So do we actually, and then I want to talk about your stand-up, but going back to the horses, because you just never think about that happening at Churchill Downs. 7 horses dying within the span of what, a week or so?
Right. Yeah,
do we know what caused it?
I have no idea. I know they suspended one of the trainers, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Wow.
Especially in an industry where, if you've ever been to Lexington, Kentucky, and in between, they call it Versailles over there, most people say Versailles, but it's those farms are nicer than most of the homes here in Manhattan Beach, man. And so, in an industry where they take care, of these, then to have this kind of stuff happen,
Right. Right. Because that's what I'm saying. Churchill Downs, you would think would be the gold standard.
Right.
Care and treatment of the horses and the treatment of the jockeys and all of that. And then to see that this past week, I was going, wow, what happened?
Yeah.
People are so different.
Again, if you go to the French Laundry for dinner enough times, you're going to get a bad potato every once in a while. The best, of course, the steaks are completely different, but
well, I probably shouldn't have led with that as we get it ready to launch into your comedy.
Hard, right?
Talk about dead horses, then let's see if you can back out of that, Lawrence.
Hey, man, when I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, from the first time I lived in LA, I was a chef at the Hard Rock Cafe. My dad had died the week I graduated from college, so I moved to LA. And I would try to get into the video business and film business out here. And then my buddy called me in Nashville. He goes, "We got a job open in Nashville." So I moved to Nashville. The very first night, I'm in this like a convenient, like a 7-Eleven type of thing. And I looked down on the shelf and it said horse meat dog food. And I was just like, and I'm from Kentucky. And I was like, what? I can't believe that. But then you go back to the old MASH episode where, they were talking about cows and, we eat cows, but we don't eat horses. And Henry Potter got all. Anyway, that's what happens to my brain. I think it's stuff like that.
No, that's right.
You're in the right crowd? I'm telling you right now.
So, is that what dog food is made from?
They made it illegal, I think. I don't think it is anymore.
Okay.
It used to be. That used to be a dog food was basically horse meat back in the day.
Really? Wow. I don't think I knew.
So Lawrence, how did you get into comedy? When did somebody coach you into standing up on stage and telling your first joke?
Well,
we thought he was going to be into rugby, professional rugby, but
it's always either comedy or rugby.
That's still a booming field, right?
I hear that all the time.
Rugby. I was back to LA. I was living down in Venice on Ozone Avenue, in between the PCH and the boardwalk there. And the guy next door, it was one of the walk streets, and the guy next door was the sound and lighting guy at the Improv. And he kept going, "Man, you're funny. You should try stand up." I'm like, "Man, I'm a filmmaker, dude. I came out here. I'm Tarantino or whatever, And but it just put the bug in my head, I asked my buddy Andy, I go, "You gotta try stand up?" Because I don't even really think you're that funny. Well, there you go. And so then I moved. My buddy called me and goes, "Hey, we got a job opening in Nashville in the video business and so I moved to Nashville. And my clients kept going, "You're funny, man. You're funny. You should try stand up." And finally, one of the guys that worked, one of the engineers that worked at, it was the salesman that worked at the club. I mean, at the post house goes, "Hey, man, my buddy teaches this comedy class and you should go take it." And so I did. And the graduation night was performing at this music club. It was in a music club outside of Nashville. And so I did that. And then you kind of get in with that group. And then one night I'd just gotten a raise. They told me you were never going to make $40,000 in the video business until you've been in there for 20 years or something. And I got a raise and I was making 40. And the day I got the raise, that night, the head of a guy named Lenny Sisselman, who ran Zanies in Nashville. Zanies is a Chicago chain.
Yeah.
And he was coming out to watch the open mic night. And everybody's like, "Do your best stuff. Lenny's here. Lenny Sisselman's here." And there's this buzz in the room. I had no idea who he was, and I just got a raise. So I was chill when I went up. I was just like, whatever. And just,
it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I don't care. I'm still golden.
I got 40 grand, baby.
Yeah.
It was like they gave it to me all at once or something. I was like, I don't care. And Lenny was like, "Hey, why don't you come down to my club and start doing guest sets?" And I'm like, "What's a guest set?" He goes, "It's free comedy, basically. Come down and do 3 or 4 minutes." And then that turned into one night, the feature act or the headliner couldn't be there. And so they moved everybody up and they asked me to MC one night, and I got paid one night. And then I kind of became almost the house MC. I didn't do every week, but at least a full week a month, usually 2 or 3 weeks a month, I was the MC. And the second time that I worked with Jeff Foxworthy, he goes, "You need to quit your day job." And I said, "Man, I'm making 40 grand. Are you kidding me? I'm like some chump comic. I'm a filmmaker." And he was like, "Lawrence, I was making 80 when I quit." And I was like, he had just won stand-up comic of the year. And so I thought, okay, man, I'll quit my day. So I gave like 3 or 4 months notice. I got hypnotized by a stage hypnotist to quit smoking because I knew I'd never be able to quit in a comedy club because I was a
oh
smoker.
My God.
And so I went on the road, man. And that's
so. Did you at the beginning? I mean, were you writing your own jokes and how?
Oh yeah.
I've studied a few different comics over the years, and how they work. Like, I think what was it? I can't think of his name now. Said he wrote 7 jokes every morning with his coffee.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of two. I mean, I've always heard it described as there's like the Seinfeld comics and there's the Leno type of. Leno says he didn't have, back in the day, man, when he was on Letterman, all the time. I mean, to me, he was, that were his funniest times, and he didn't have any of it written down. He just talked about, and then there's Seinfeld, who's like writing jokes every day, and I'm not a joke guy. I'm more of like stories and bits,
Okay.
So I mean, I've got all of it on video and audio tape, and I would jot down an idea, and then you're just like, and then you start talking it out, and it, I mean, what's his name? Larry Miller's God's Flashlight. I mean, he said that took him 7 years to, get that final line on that bit about, coming out of the bar drunk the next day. And it's like God's.
I heard that same thing about another joke. Maybe it was Seinfeld on one Comedians in Cars talking about a joke that took him 6 years. And it's not a very long joke, but it's all the timing and now it's a classic, but good
That's
God.
a long joke. That's a long joke.
Yeah.
6-year
I
joke.
mean,
6-year joke, man.
I can't even remember shit 6 years ago, let alone
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I'd
that's
have to write it down.
You know what's interesting? So so you're not writing jokes, you're coming up with stories and you're just taking life experiences, which Tom Papa, Jim Gaffigan, I love those guys, and I get to watch them because that's my wife loves those guys.
Right.
And I mean, she'll watch those Gaffigan specials and those comedy specials over and over where I have the lines recited and all that. But, someone was talking about, I overheard, it may have been a podcast, but they were talking about these guys doing all these Netflix comedy specials, that the problem with that, and you never think about it as a layman, you don't think about it, but they said the problem with it is once I do that special, I can't do those jokes again.
Right. Well, I mean,
they go out on the road, or they're going to do another comedy special. It certainly has to be all new material, but they go out on the road and, 4 million people watch the special and they can put their jokes out to more people in one night on a special.
Oh yeah.
They'll ever do an arena.
But have you ever noticed though that when they're doing that special, it's almost always at the end of a tour?
Yeah, you go out and you work the material.
Right.
Leanne, what's the lady from your neck of the woods? Leanne.
Oh yeah. Tammy loves her.
Brown, Leanne, what is it?
Yeah.
She's from Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, she's from. I don't watch comedy, man. So
you should.
You don't find it funny?
People out there.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to I've watched. The last thing I watched was John Mulaney, and that was 5 or 6 years. I mean, I don't know.
Well, he's got.
It's not like there's some great comics out there. I just don't watch, and I don't know why.
I'm serious. I'm a serious consumer of comics, and at one time, Bloomington, Illinois, had 3 comedy shops here.
Yeah.
Funny Bone, the Treehouse, and the place downtown, and now we got 0, which is.
I worked the Treehouse, man. It was like
here in Bloomington.
It was like a truck stop. It was like in the back of a truck stop, man.
Where at?
The Monkey House or whatever, the Treehouse.
The Treehouse here was a locally owned.
Right. Yeah, I did it. It was like.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. Right. It was over in that. Yeah, you're right. There's a truck repair place next door.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's closed. It had all
years ago.
These semi-famous and famous comics, and then the Funny Bone came in and kind of crowded them out. I don't know. Maybe the guy died.
Story of comedy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been up.
Now we got nothing.
Well, it's open a club.
Well, there's a local hotel that once a month they do a
comedy night.
Yeah, comedy night.
Well, that's kind of. I mean, there was a guy named Tom Sobel in Louisville, Kentucky, who kind of invented road comedy. Really, I mean, he like the one-nighter thing. He would go out, and that's a big way to and also the Comedy Zone chain in the South. You go in and you anchor in a hotel bar. You use their liquor license. You put up a stage with a poster behind it or a fake brick wall or whatever, and and a little riser and a conference room that holds, 100 people or however many people. And so that's your weekend room. So like if you're in Greensboro, North Carolina, it's not really big enough to have a, 4 or 5 night comedy show.
Right.
You would have 2 there, and then you'd be in Hickory, North Carolina on Tuesday night, and then on Wednesday night you would be in, Asheville, and then Thursday night you'd be in Sanford, North Carolina, and then Friday and Saturday in Greensboro or Winston-Salem, and then Sunday you'd end up down in Fayetteville outside of the Fort Bragg, and that was 6 nights of comedy. And then you go home. I mean,
and it's great I would think it's great for those clubs because they've got something that they can hook onto and market and sell. And who doesn't love comedy, So, and So
Not
you
as
had,
much as people like karaoke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me, but
yeah,
you know,
I
I remember being
Yeah.
a comic and hearing like the first, these people in Korea are doing this karaoke, and they brought some bars to California, and some comic in the back there and go, "We're dead."
Where- hey,
Well,
Lawrence,
people find themselves more entertaining than anybody else.
Yeah,
but Lawrence is great at karaoke, by the way.
I've come by it honestly now.
So people wait for Lawrence to
I
come
just
up.
wonder, Mark, if he's as good as the Fulfords at Press Box in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Are you're saying a lot there because you've seen Mitch.
Well, I don't think we better go down that road with the Fulfords at the press box in Mount Vernon.
I'm
The
just
Fulfords-
saying they had quite a karaoke gig going on there.
Yeah, no, well, karaoke, everybody wants to, I think people feel much more comfortable singing karaoke where someone else, the real person, is singing behind them or carrying them a little bit with the music and all that versus being a stand-up. I mean, you like to watch stand-up, but karaoke's interactive. You can,
Well,
Plus,
karaoke's safer than stand-up.
You know.
Karaoke's way safer than stand-up, right? I mean,
I've always thought that the bravest person out there, performer out there, is a stand-up comedian. They are out there.
oh my gosh, it's even more so than
buck naked on that stage, and whatever happens, they're there. They're not going off. You can't yell cut, and make and everybody's looking up at him. All these eyeballs are looking up and going, "Make me laugh."
yeah. I'm in the worst mood I've ever been in my life. Make me laugh.
Yeah, you don't.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
Out to your car.
That's the thing about it. Like if you're in a band and people are talking, and you can pretend like you're practicing. That or they don't like my songs. They don't like my art, whatever. But if you're a comic and you're not getting laughs, that means they don't like you as a person. And so you're up there just going,
That's
man,
right.
what did I do to you? And sometimes you take it personally, and I was kind of well known as a comic that back in the day I didn't mind tussling with the audience a little bit,
Well, I remember, where was it? I think it was Poncho's. You were emceeing a night, or maybe you were, I don't know if you were emceeing the night or you were one of the comedians, but this guy would not be quiet in the audience. And I mean, heckled all these other performers. Some of the guys that Lawrence was emceeing at this little club in little restaurant club in Manhattan Beach. Some of them were still kind of green, little new, and they still had good moments. And yet there was a guy that was just making noise, talking back to them, wasn't letting them do their thing. And these other comedians would just accept it and go, "Oh, I don't want to be rude to this guy," or, "Oh gosh," and just keep plowing through, Lawrence got up there and he says, "You motherfucker, I don't want to hear from you," or something like that. It was a hoot. Crowd clapped.
Yeah.
No one liked this guy,
Well, they paid to see the comic. They didn't pay to see.
I know. Yeah.
You got a responsibility if you're the comic on stage to have some tools to cut his nuts off.
Right. Well, I didn't think about Ponchos now. It's like, I mean, I was there in October doing a set, and Ali Wong came in and did 25 minutes. I mean, it's all people with late night experience,
Wow. Yeah.
great writers, great comics. But a lot of people, when you're doing a club in LA, especially a restaurant gig club or a bar club gig, I mean, you can have all the best comics in the world, but they don't treat it as much like a real show. And a lot of those people have never had to deal with a heckler. I mean, they've gone up. I worked bars and Ozark, Alabama, where they gave people free shots to sit on the front row. I mean, I've done battle and that's my happy place. That's my place. I'm in charge when I'm on stage, man. I saw I worked with Tim Allen at Zany's, George Wallace, and some of what you learn, it's not about your jokes. It's about commanding that stage. And hey, man, this is my world up here. You sit down there and be in your world. And if I want to invite you in my world, I'll tell you. But until I do, you need to sit there and be quiet and listen. That type of thing.
Another thing that's kind of been on my mind, and I went to see John Lovitz when I was in Vegas back in February, and he kind of said, it's been a while since I'd seen a comic, in a room for real. And he started off and I kind of went, well, that was kind of inappropriate. And then I thought, what the fuck? That's what I'm paying to see. What? I got to drop that stuff. Yeah, it took me a moment to get rid of that. It really did. And because he's using some language that if you used out on the street, they'd string you up today. And I'm like, I can't believe we've gotten to that point. And I'm a pretty liberal guy, but honest to God, we've got to.
Well, what's interesting is when you know a comic from a TV series, say, right? And you've never seen their stand-up, but you know a comic from the TV series, really like and blah, 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 or her. And then you go see their stand-up act. They used to say
Saget. Bob Saget.
Bob Saget's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And of course, John Lovitz spent the last 5 minutes of his show singing a song. He played the piano and sung a song to Bob Saget, the filthiest song I think I've ever, because he loved the guy. And I was like, well, that is true love. If you're going to say all that stuff, what rhymes with Saget? Every word you can think of rhymes with, And I've said, and I'm laughing by now. I've let all the guards down, and I'm really laughing. I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, we got about 8 minutes left. We're on the cheap plan with Zoom.
And we were on the what kind of plan, Mark? What kind of plan with Zoom is it?
It's the inexpensive plan.
No, it's not just the inexpensive. It's
well, no, we're not there yet.
All right.
You're jumping the gun. So Lawrence, tell me, has the Derby changed? Is it changed since all the years that you've been going now with the post-pandemic and all of that? Do the horses wear masks?
No, they always wore masks. They always had blinders on.
That's true.
But it's, it's just become, when I was there in the 80s, I've been to like 32 derbies. And we start off when you're a kid, you go out to the infield, man.
Right.
And back then, the infield was
500, right, Sam?
That's right.
Exactly. But and back then, there was nothing but some betting windows and some bathrooms and some porta cans and a few places to buy beer. And so you looked out and you were in a sea of 80,000 people in one field. And 100 yards that way, you'd see people throwing a girl up in a blanket, people naked, people doing beer slides and stuff like that. And so it was nuts, man. They have taken that away. Like, even if you're in the infield, you're looking at, for some reason, when we were going to the infield, we were wearing Hawaiian shirts and rugby shorts and, girls would be in bikinis and stuff. Now everybody's doing the bougie, everybody's got a seersucker suit on, even like 8th, 9th graders, and you're like, what are you doing, you idiot? So there's a little bit of that that's kind of gone overboard. And there's so many corporate things out there. It takes that sea of humanity out because you're only seeing, the 1,000 people or 500 people around you. You're no longer looking out and just like, holy, look at this match.
Look what Burning Man's turned into. I mean,
I don't know. I've never been to Burning Man.
Oh, I've been to Burning Man. In the old days, it was, it was
acid.
Yeah, but I mean, it was
tripping balls.
You didn't hear electronic music blasting away, stuff like that. It's now become people bringing in corporate, settings and
money fucks everything up, doesn't it?
I'm telling you.
The Indy 500 is the same way. They're trying to bring the snake pit.
Snake pit, yeah, man.
First time I went to the Indy 500 with my Uncle Sam, they picked up this. They had this. It was when you could drive down the middle, drive that main drag. I think they've cut that out now, but
yeah, they have.
But used to be you drive down there, and there was a Volkswagen in front of us. The crowd raced out, picked up the Volkswagen, and turned around so it was facing us.
We have another Mark Lipps story at the Indy 500, but we don't
need to tell that.
But I want to tell it
We only have
We'll have
five,
to-
we have 5 minutes. I can't tell that story.
Now we got 4 minutes, 29 seconds. So
Yeah.
I sat at the Indy 500 in the front of a puddle with a jet engine with a fire on the front of it, drying off a puddle for about 3 hours.
yeah,
And
I was there.
We're
I
going to
was
start the
there.
race, and then it started raining again.
What year was that? That was so
I
that would
don't
have been
remember.
1977. And
No,
that dryer was the first. It was Mickey Thompson. That was the first time a dryer was ever used on a track anywhere.
Really?
Engine on a trailer. That's a true story. Yeah, it was the first time ever. Yeah, I was there. Yeah, and they got it to track dried off.
And Lawrence had the lucky
in second place. Johnny Rutherford's in first. AJ was biting at the bit. He wanted to get around Johnny Rutherford. They come around them again, and it started raining. And they said they were already halfway through, and they said that's it.
It's crazy.
And Lawrence was the lucky guy. He got to sit right there by that jet.
Yeah,
No,
he can't hear out of one ear to this day.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Hey,
Lawrence, I appreciate you coming. Good to meet you, and maybe we'll have you back on another show. And
when we can have you on a little longer, we may pay the $12 a month. We
might. So we got 3 minutes, Mark. So
anyway, Lawrence, wait, you got to come up here to the farm, man.
I've just been so. I mean, now I'm kind of getting settled in and everything. I can make some day trips. But I moved. I've rented a giant house with Duke, and we got 2 Airbnbs.
You're not in Florida?
Huh? No, I'm like right down at 33rd and Bayview, like right next to Beach Pizza, man. I've got the best deal in the world, man.
Oh man, you did move.
Yeah, and we got a courtyard we sit in. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're by there.
And he's always gone, so because he teaches, and so he can teach from anywhere. He was in Thailand.
Prisoners in prison got a courtyard they can sit in. That's
ours doesn't come with rusty barbells, though, man.
Oh well.
But you get a courtyard in Manhattan Beach, any kind of outside area on your property, you're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Mark's old house in Manhattan Beach. It was a little.
But he's got a beautiful. His place is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark.
They changed it up a little bit. The guys that bought it from us, they renovated it. And now they're selling it again. And someone never notified the utility company because I still get calls from the utility company. You're behind on your payments.
All right.
3 years.
Come get me.
So, but anyway, dude, you gotta just bust a butt up here, bring a friend, and
I'll do it.
If it's a friend that you really want to be close to, we've even got a little love nest for you, in the Airbnb.
There you go.
And
he didn't. When I came, he didn't offer me that. I was out there with those 2 pigs.
Well, he knows you.
Yeah. I mean, I like pigs.
Plus, you've been married for 50 years, so I mean, I go.
That's true too.
You need a love nest for it.
But not to a pig.
Well, there you go.
Beautiful woman. I love her.
So Lawrence, you're in Kentucky. I went to school in Southern Indiana, and Sam and I grew up in Southern Illinois, just so you know. Just to get
We're hillbillies.
So we So anyway, Lawrence, great talking to you. You and I got to spend a little more time together.
Do it, man.
And there I gotta find you. And,
Until then, this has been.
Well, by the way, if nothing else, this show's been good enough.
Good enough.
All right.
Perfect, but it was good enough.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
See you, man. See you, Mark.
Love you guys, and we'll see you next week.